So hello and welcome to what, although it was the first, for me, is the second set of games from the semi-finals of the Game Replays 8-Bit Ladder Wars tournament. This is Just Plain Savage down here in the green as Renegades, and up here in the black as Renegades ZertoN. Quick introduction. Yes, this is a Ladder Wars game. So this game, if you saw the series I cast before, these games were actually played before and already casted before by Dissonant. I am only casting these games for my own channel, just so I have the whole collection of them on there. And I'm going to go back to the sort of style I was doing before, where it's more replay analysis rather than sort of casting as much. For the finals, as if they are played while Dissonant still isn't here, I'll probably do more of a sort of proper cast for them again. But I mean, this is Renegades versus Renegades, so in a way everything's going to be very simple. And I have seen these games because I've seen Dissonance of them, and many people will have seen these first. But player-wise, this is an interesting matchup because ZertoN is sort of the absolute traditional Renegades player, right? He is like, if you say, what is the basic way to play Renegades, you point at someone like ZertoN and you go, that. Right? That is how you play Renegades. And normally it's barracks, motor pool, refinery, tech. Then he's gonna, or power tech. He's doing his second refinery quite early. But then he's going to normally just go into chopper. Whereas JustPlainSvage, if you talk about him at all, the one word that comes up is aggression. The second thing people will say is normally tank rush, right? He is one of the few people in this game who actually seems to have a real signature style, and it is that tank rush as Renegades. And here you can see that signature style coming out already with a load of rocket infantry and some armoured cars, some aggression on this side, and a tank with some armoured cars doing some aggression on this side. So ZertoN's going to come up here to defend. It's going to be a nice sort of simple thing. Getting up his oil a little bit slower, but it's going to deal some damage here. And, you know, this possibly could be good, right? But this is only small force down here, so this isn't going to do much. And this is actually going to do horribly badly against this. This one building isn't taken out. Having no armoured cars with this means that he's going to be very slow at killing infantry. Yeah, this looks like this game is going to be exactly how I would expect these games to go. All-out aggression with lots of tanks from JustPlainSvage, tanks and rocket troopers, and then just stoic defense taking straight into rocket choppers from ZertoN. Now, yeah, JustPlainSvage could have maybe focused that down, but if he had his whole army here, he could have definitely focused that down, and that would have been annoying. But, I mean, there's another one up soon. It wouldn't have been so annoying, and he is keeping ZertoN off this, although ZertoN doesn't really want a third refinery right now, necessarily. So unless he's going to push down and do any damage into here, I think this army is sort of wasting its time. Some more push-ups into here. Now this is the problem with being aggressive in 8-bit armies, and why I think most players don't, is that there is no I wouldn't say no, but there's very different target prioritization from units than in most games. So if you are by buildings and units, your troops will hit, you know, closer things. They won't, as in most. Ooh, bad crushes there for JustPlainSvage. That is really not the way you want it to go. That is a horrible lost fight there from JustPlainSvage, keeping his eye off that for a bit too long and really going to lose now. He's going to have to move his way back, and he is taking into choppers now, but this becomes the problem with a style like this, is that you've gone into choppers later, and so you have less of them. And in a traditional late game between these two armies, like, once you start getting artillery, your enemy's rocket troopers are all going to die, and so it really becomes who has the most choppers. And the answer to that should be ZertoN. Yeah. To the point I was going to say, basically your troops will hit the buildings, right? And they'll do a load of damage to these buildings, and that will be useless in the fight and will make your army weaker than their army originally. A couple of rocket choppers getting picked off there, that's even worse. I actually don't know where. Oh, that's why there was some rocket chopper harass in the back, forced these workers off of their normal points. But look at this, here we go, here is the Apocalypse Now helicopter army. Oh, and a couple of these helicopters can get caught out here as well. Like, this is not good. Like, this battle in the late game really does come up to just who has the most choppers. And so every chopper you lose is just, like, at this stage of the game, really not okay. He has got both of these refineries now, so he is getting more money than ZertoN. But his production isn't going to be much higher than ZertoN, so he's not actually going to be getting more stuff. And both of them are making their late game army composition, so it's not like he's going to get away with cutting less to make more of the army he wants. Now, you could probably fight this, but yeah, you see he wants to move away from the buildings before he starts fighting, because then he won't hit any shots into the buildings, and now he needs to back off from these rocket troopers. Gets another harvester there, that's really unlucky, and manages to escape off into the area where he can't move, and he has this huge army moving up on the side. And this, if you watch my ZertoN game, which I'm actually going to probably upload after this, so I probably should stop referencing that. This is the type of play that I really like seeing, this pulling of an army apart, because JustPlainSvage's army moved up to defend here, and so now is not in the position to defend up here. And so what is he going to do? Is he going to attack? He now is doing this sort of split force thing, and these helicopters are actually going up a little bit early, starting to get picked off. He has such a small force here to defend against this giant army, and his army up here, if it's going to push in, look, there's so many rocket choppers because he didn't make so many multiples for the failed aggression that JustPlainSvage did, and that failed aggression has really put him behind now. I like that he is still trying to be aggressive, trying to make something happen, but ZertoN's forces had only just left, and so we'll come back up to this. And is there any artillery here? There's not much artillery here, which might be the sort of saving grace for this engagement. But look how many helicopters there are. And he's backing off because he's scared of all these helicopters. And he has mostly artillery. And in this stage of the game, having more artillery isn't actually that helpful. Because artillery is essentially, in late game RVR, the reason you have artillery is to kill the enemy's rocket troopers, so that your rocket choppers only have to fight against other rocket choppers. So once you've killed all the enemy's ground troops, the artillery actually becomes sort of useless. And so, like, having more rocket troopers might help in a situation, although they'd just get killed by artillery, so you don't want them. It really all comes down to the rocket choppers in this sort of late game, unless you're going to choose to go into another tech. And look, he has so many rocket copters that he can have this huge fleet of rocket choppers over here, just demolishing the army, and then he can also have his whole army over here, still outnumbering the rocket choppers of JustPlainSvage. I think the mistake in this game by JustPlainSvage, if you go way back, you think back to the first moment where it went wrong, you could argue it was choosing to do the tank aggression in the first place, but I think it's just, you can do this tank aggression, but if you're going to do the tank aggression, you need to follow it up. You can't, like, you need to follow through with it even. You can't follow it up, because you'll end up just in a disadvantage in the most important part of this game. And there, he throws out the GG. Very strong play from ZertoN, and Tigers, JustPlainSvage played well, but he didn't manage to hold it off. I really hope that we get to see some more straight late game from this, or a successful tank crush, perhaps.